The Bahamas are dealing with an unprecedented crisis with thousands missing or in need of assistance and at least 23 dead. Morgan Chesky is on the ground in the Bahamas. And Morgan, we know you just got back from Abaco, one of the areas that was really hard hit. Tell us what you saw there.
It was tough to witness firsthand. The Abaco airport just opened up today after spending the past several days underwater. And we took a fixed-wing aircraft there. We know that helicopters have been able to reach Marsh Harbor for several days now, ferrying supplies and bringing the injured here to this Nassau airport where they're loaded up on ambulances and taken to nearby hospitals. But when we touched down, we still saw several of those runways submerged. We were able to walk off, and I think the first thing that really shocks you in Marsh Harbor are the people that are left waiting at the airport. They're not injured, but they simply have nowhere else to go, and they're trying to do whatever they can to get off the island. And when I asked them why, they said, we don't have anything left here. Whatever they had was either carried or worn on their bodies. We hitched a ride into town, or what's left of it, and one of the first things we came into contact with was a clinic that was actually used as a shelter whenever Dorian moved in. One of the few buildings that were not totally demolished by those more than 200-mile-an-hour winds. And approaching the clinic, it's half clinic, half shelter at this point, just so people can get out of the sun, which unbearably hot right now. And for people who don't have any shelter at all, you could just see the energy drained after spending the past several days trying to find ways to survive there on the island. We went further into some of those hardest hit neighborhoods. And one of the most telling signs of Dorian's power was I was looking at a home, asking a gentleman about it, and he says, no, this is not a standalone home. This is the top story of a two-story house that was picked up somewhere else, farther than the eye could see, and carried to this location. And it was like that almost everywhere you looked. The road leading back to the airport, heavily forested on both sides typically, but you could see through every single tree, stripped bare by Dorian's power. We plan to follow up with the people there, but I think the thing that hit me the hardest was when I asked them, what can people send to Abaco to help you out? What kind of relief do you need? This woman looked at me and she says, everything. We need absolutely everything right now. And when you see how much the storm took away, it's tough to disagree with her. Back to you.
Oh, Morgan, it's just absolutely devastating. I mean, it breaks your heart to hear you tell those stories. Now you're here in Nassau with where those recovery efforts are leaving from, where all the rescue crews are trying to get to places like the Abaco Islands, get to Grand Bahama. Now that you've seen the other side of it, I mean, what are the challenges like for those rescue crews just trying to get there? I mean, you're really seeing the full picture.
Right, and we know that this effort has been hampered by the sheer damage that happened in Abaco and Grand Bahama, where the flooding was such a big issue there. But specifically on Abaco, a lot of roadways are still inaccessible, some underwater, others covered by debris. I had a chance to speak to the Prime Minister of the Bahamas last night, and he told me that they do plan to send crews that are already there on Abaco around the island to hopefully clear the roadways of the debris, because those are really the main arteries that relief can start pouring into this area and doing some significant good there. But still, keep in mind that the road to recovery is months, if not years ahead for this area. One of the things that really stood out to me was we've been in close contact with government officials here in Nassau, following through daily press briefings and such, and we were told, it was reiterated, in fact, that they had boots on the ground there on Abaco Island, specifically Marsh Harbor. Yet when we went there today, I did not physically see any Bahamian police officers or military personnel in some of those hardest hit areas. We didn't drive on every single road, I should say, but in our tour around the most heavily damaged areas, I didn't come into contact with any of those officials, and that surprised me, specifically with some of the people saying, I said, the government says they've sent help here, and people would stare back at me and say, it's not here.
Gosh, Morgan, every aspect of this, shocking, devastating. You just don't even know what to say. You feel so horrible for the people and what they're going through. As you've been talking, we've been looking at images pairing with what you're saying, and it is just completely devastating. Thank you so much for sharing those stories with us.
My pleasure.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.